Oh, I'm wonderful today. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is Melinda Roy. So thank you so much. I know you are. You'll start with great energy. I can see that. So yes, before we start your presentation, let's play a beautiful introduction video of yours. So later you can start your presentation. Okay.
Okay, I don't have a video unless you do.
No, we will share from our side. Okay.
Okay. And can you take me into the main room?
Yeah, this is the main room.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
People are watching you.
Liz Dobbins. Liz is the principal owner of Propellogy as ICF, PCC, professional certified coach with the International Coach Federation. She facilitates and coaches empowerment in educational leadership in the sensory and somatic areas. She received training from Boldly Embody Life, Elevate, deepening her facilitation and coaching effectiveness as a leader. She is in partnership supporting exploration in expression, expansion, and developing your true authenticity. She brings 35 plus years of experience in building bridges between schools, teachers, and parents, facilitating at the state, regional, and national level. She graduated from the University of Kansas, where she excelled in education and lettered in gymnastics, golf, and cheerleading, and has served as an adjunct professor in the Health, Sport, and Exercise Sciences Department. She has been the embodiment of empowerment with students, teachers, and athletes at all levels from K.
Yes, Liz, you can start your presentation. Good luck.
Okay, thank you. Wow, what a wonderful opportunity this is to be in this beautiful atmosphere. And I wish I were in Paris right now. So I'm coming to you from Lawrence, Kansas. And my intention today is to share the insight of neuroscience as it relates to our sensory system and primarily our sensory fingerprint. So, neuroscience, basically the study of how the neuroscience system develops, its a structure and what it does. Currently, neuroscience, it's now a buzzword in psychology, marketing, and in leadership management performance. So, first, neuroscience basically is just the understanding of how the brain, as it relates to our sensory fingerprint, our sensory system, receives sensory information as we see, hear, taste, and touch and move in our own environment. So, combining multiple cultures here today for this wonderful convention, we have neuroscientists, we have women, we have combining multiple conferences here. So I want to like to acknowledge the current discoveries in neuroscience as it relates to our own DNA, our sync, and our unique sensory system, our unique sensory fingerprint. So let me begin. What if each one of us had the opportunity to self-regulate no matter what the circumstances, tuning into your own unique sensory fingerprint, which is built into your DNA, and tuning in so that you can be in ease, succeed, and move with grace. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And what if you could self regulate and confidently make decisions without second guessing yourself or being stuck in analysis paralysis? You know, as they introduced me, I am a certified coach. And a lot of my clients, believe it or not, are stuck in analysis paralysis. Well, the good news is we can. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So, what you're able to adjust in a moment's notice, pivot when it's necessary, and thrive with agility. And be present moment to moment to moment. Isn't that everyone's goal? Yeah, wouldn't that be wonderful if we all could do that? All right, so today I'm speaking to you with the insight of understanding our sensory system. how the brain receives sensory information, and how we see, hear, taste, touch, and how we move in the environment. And now, current studies, we are determining our own thresholds, responses for our own, how it impacts our environment and our behavior, attention, and emotion. So, drawing from this neuroscience process, we can determine how, when, and where we respond as a result of our sensory environment. So let me guide you a little bit from over here in the United States to clear over to South Africa. Dr. Anne Labard from South Africa has in-depth empirical research in sensory intelligence, which is sensory based. And so this comes forth into the adult world right now, making sense of our senses, so to speak. We now can make the necessary accommodations to increase knowledge, teamwork, health, wellness, and productivity. So now I would like to share a slide with you, if I may. So I'm going to bring this up and open up a slide for you so that you can see the sensory system here. Most of this is pretty much all you have already know. You know the basics. Well, the basics you already know, seeing and hearing and tasting and touching and smelling. But that little, and I don't know if you see my arrow or not, but that little container with 2 feet in there, well, those host and house the other 2 sensory systems that we have. That's what I'm going to share today. Not only do we have 5 sensory systems, like you probably are aware of when you were a kid growing up, but we actually have 7 systems, 7 sensory systems. And those 2 are hiding kind of in where the feet are. I put them in the feet container because it involves with movement. Our feet move. So those 2 sensory systems are, first, 1, proprioception. So don't let that word throw you. Proprioception. And that's where we receive information into our muscle and joints. Whether we go from a standing to sitting or something more intense like lifting weights. This system is a means to keep track and control of different parts of the body and space. It's actually our personal space and not outer space. So I'm not sure how we would track our control over different parts of our body in our outer space in zero gravity. But, I'd kind of like to find out. And maybe one of these days we will. And the second system is the vestibular system. So don't let that word throw you yet. It's responsible for providing our brain with information about motion, head position, and spatial position. It also is involved with our motor functions, which allows us to keep our balance, stabilize our head and body during movement, and maintain posture. Yes, absolutely, to maintain posture. So those 2 systems are housed down in our feet container. Those are the 2 extra sensory systems, number 6 and number 7. Proprioceptive, information to muscle and joints, and vestibular. So every time we move our head, every time we move our feet, every time we have resistance against gravity, we move, we tap into those 2 sensory systems. So I'm going to stop the slide there for a minute here, and I'll come back to those in just a few seconds because I have more to share. So now I bet you're thinking, that's all well and good, but how do we relate the sensory system to effective decision making or being productive or adapting to our environment or moving with ease or being present moment to moment? Well, I've boiled it down to 3 key areas that will support you. So, and the good news is it's all based in neuroscience, so you can really trust it. So the first key factor is just the simple awareness of your own sensory preference. Yeah, your own sensory preference. Well, this may be a new term. And I'm not saying you have to go to 23andMe kit or Ancestry kit and navigate your sensory preferences. We don't do that. So here are a few examples. Here's one question to think about. Do you get energized being in large groups? Or do you prefer working in a remote environment? Do you enjoy music in the background when you work, or do you prefer quiet environments? Those two questions, just by simply answering those two questions, you can be aware of a little deeper dive into your environment, of what you thrive in, to support you with clarity, being present, making choices, important decisions, being productive. And not all one size fits all. So, what is good for me in order for me to move in my environment, what my sensory preferences are, may be totally different than what yours are. Yeah, maybe totally different. We have our own unique sensory fingerprint, which is in our DNA. It stays with us as we grow. So, the second key factor is self regulation, which is the understanding of how your sensory preferences impact you so you can stay present. You can face challenges. You can navigate your triggers and remain present. Well, there is something called presenteeism. So it means that you're present physically. Yeah, like we're present physically here, except I'm on Zoom. But you are checked out mentally. Well, as an aside of this, presenteeism has cost business more every year than absenteeism. So, how many times have we physically been somewhere, but we've been checked out? Yeah. And now think back to the time that you were put on the spot when you had to make a decision. Yeah. Raise your hand if you've ever had or you've ever been put on the spot to make a decision. I know I have. And perhaps those moments you have may reacted instead of responded. Well, when we react, we are in fight mode, and it's immediate and rash. Yeah, how many of us have done that one? And then when we respond, well, it's clear, concise, deliberate. Self regulation has to do with that. And self regulation can simply be as simple as taking a pause for what you need. Maybe it's more information. Maybe it's others' contribution to the decision. The third key component here, the third key factor, is to recognize when you get triggered. And then when you get triggered, when to pivot. Yeah, what to do. So, CEOs, good leaders, you, make a decision when you're aware of your sensory preferences and you can self regulate. So, keys 1 and keys 2. However, the best leaders, and you and I, not only follow key 1 and 2, but when we can also identify with the triggers of how to navigate them to make the confidence decisions. So one of our triggers may be getting defensive when someone asks you a question. Ever have that happen? Or for others, you may be triggered by the fear of making the wrong decision. When you get triggered, it's not what's wrong with you and what needs to be fixed. No, when you get triggered, let me repeat that again, it's not what's wrong with you and what needs to be fixed, but rather what strategies or tools do I have in place to diffuse my trigger and make the most impactful decisions. So I'm going to bring this slide back up again to share with you. Because this next slide may be impactful to you. This next slide may show, oh, wow, it may be a trigger to you. And if it's a trigger to you, it could be that it's overwhelming. Yeah, just looking at the slide, there's so many words on there. Where do I start reading? Could be overwhelming to you. So it's my stress slide that I want to share. And I also probably share one of the most common, powerful tools that we all have, and we maybe have worked through this, is the power of breathing and breath work. Yeah, allowing time to inhale and exhale. And when you do that, you change the chemistry of your brain. And here's how it works. Here's how it works. I have a little brain slide. Sorry, there's my slide. I have a little brain slide that I want to share with you. So take a look at this. I find this very interesting. We're talking about triggers, or when we get overwhelmed, or when something you feel inside is just something triggers us. So let's look at the brain here, my little picture of the brain. There's a sensory IQ, an emotional IQ, and then the logic IQ that you have. So as we get triggered, we actually feel this in our body first. Oh man, something's going on. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my heart. Oh, my fingertips are numb. Whatever that might be, you feel that, and it gets empowered through the primitive brain. It comes up through your sensory IQ first. Then it travels up to your emotional intelligence part of your brain. Yeah, right up into the middle part. That's your feeling brain, which is about 80% of your brain. And then from there, yeah, that's like my emotional IQ is okay, something happened. What did I do before? When did that happen? What did I do? And what was my response? So it's all putting all that together in your emotional brain. From there, it travels up to your logical brain, what I like to call your executive brain. And guess what? It takes 90 seconds. At least current research says it takes about 90 seconds to move from that primitive part of your brain down here all the way up to your logical brain. So if you react right at that primitive brain, whoa, you're hitting that flight, fight reaction. But if you allow that 90 seconds to move up to that logical part of your brain, you're moving up to responding, not reaction. So by calming the brain, you are able to see new possibilities and choices for decision making. Wow. And my favorite tool that I like to use besides breathing is to move emotions. Yeah, I like to take a break. I like to take a pause, go for a walk. Besides breathing, and move my body. Move those two little feet that were in that container. Yeah, that proprioceptive and vestibular. Because every time I move my head, I put information on my muscle and joints, or maybe even if I go for a jog. Yeah, that's moving. And as you move, proprioceptive system, your proprioceptive sensory system is a universal regulator to help self-regulate, to help center, to help be present. So whether I do something simple as sitting down to standing up, or I'm out going for a walk or jog, or just getting some fresh air, it is a way to self-regulate, which is a universal regulator. So now I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I'm going to go to my next slide here. I'm going to have you become aware of your sensory preferences. So let's become aware of all those sensory systems. So as we go through this, I'm going to have you answer, and you can jot down on a paper or just keep track of your A, B, C, D choices. Which ones that you gravitate to, okay? And as you do this, just notice how you feel about your immediate choices. For example, I'm going to ask questions that you may feel stressed, fear, anxiety, or even if you have a fear of overwhelm, like you had on that first slide that I showed you, or flooded, or you may find yourself feeling energized, engaged, calm, or neutral. You don't care. It's fine. You can go either way. And guess what? There's no wrong or right answers. This is a tool to uncover your unique sensory fingerprint. So, the first question is, are you ready? The first question is, and I hope you can see it and read it. How would you describe the environment you thrive in? Yeah, what's your favorite environment do you thrive in? And I'll read these to you. Do you prefer constant change, bright lights, open windows, music, and you don't mind interruptions? That's number A, or one. Number two is, if you prefer, flexible workspace, you're either good in an organized office or you can be in a busy office. You're flexible. You might even enjoy calming music or audiobooks. And three, do you prefer quiet noise canceling earphones? Because you might be sensitive to light, sense, and some sound. Or you really like things neat and tidy. So one, do you prefer a constant change? Do you like, and you don't mind interruptions? You don't mind bright lights, open windows, musics? Or two, you prefer flexible workspace? Three, noise canceling. Or number four, you'd rather lie down on the couch and watch TV and let other people worry about their own environment and not worry about it. So have your choice. Pick out which one suits you best, that you ring to, that your choice either energizes you, you have a trigger about. Just notice which one stands out for you. And my next question is, does a workout in the morning energize you? It has to do with your movement, that's two little feet in that container. Does a workout in the morning energize you? Wow. One, yes, it often energizes me. It sets my day up. Number two, well, sometimes it energizes me. And three, it rarely energizes me. Or four, I would only do it as part of a plea bargain. So just notice what your preference is. Yeah. So now we're ready to go to the next question. So mark down your preference there. And the next question is, do you like socializing in large groups? Do you like socializing in large groups? Well, number one is, you love being in large groups. Yeah, bring it on. The more, the better. Or number two, well, you're flexible. You can be in a large group or you can be in a small group. They're both about equal. Or three, you prefer small groups. That's the only way you want to do your work, is in small groups. Or you're in teamwork in your office and you only want to meet in a small group, or one-on-one even. Or four, don't even like being on a Facebook group. So choose one, two, three, or four about socializing in large groups. And now, my last question that I'll bring up to you is the sensory sense of smell. Okay, here we go. What is your reaction to smell? Do you prefer to smell essential oils or cologne or perfume or air fresheners? Are you the one that goes around and sprays air fresheners in your room? Or two, do you like a variety of odors or smells? And number three, do you prefer or don't like any smell, any odors at all around you? Yeah. The person next to you in the office has on aftershave. Don't even get next to me. So you don't want any odors at all. Or D, yeah, D is simply smell of really good food makes you gain weight. So smell. A, you prefer to smell essential oils. B, well, you like a variety. C, no odors at all. Get that aftershave away from me. Or D, you simply smell of really good food. Yeah, makes you gain weight. So mark your choice 1, 2, 3, or 4. So, oops. So I will hold it right there and I'll share with you your results. In general, if you selected mostly A's, while you're a sensory seeker, referred to as someone, or selected mostly ones, let me put it that way. I have A and 1 in synchronous here. But if you selected 1, you're a sensory seeker, referred to as someone with high energy and who likes an active environment for more stimulus. You may prefer to socialize in large groups, and you are really goal driven. There's a lot of CEOs that are sensory seekers. If you selected mostly 2s here, you are a sensory neutral, referred to as someone who is, you're flexible and you can easily shift and cope with stress. In other words, you just go with the flow. However, these sensory neutrals have something pretty much in common, and I'll share with that in just a minute. I'm going to come back to the sensory neutral. If you selected mostly the 3 here, you are a sensory avoider, referred to as someone who is cautious, does not like change, prefers a calm environment, socializes in small groups, and definitely likes structure. So if you look at a sensory seeker who is outgoing, always seeking, always wanting more stimuli, versus the sensory avoider who really likes calm environment, small groups, and structure. Yeah, in the middle, that is that sensory neutral, referred to as someone who's flexible. So the sensory neutral, if you are gravitating to being a sensory neutral, this is a really interesting place to be. You're flexible, but you're not quite sure, do I please the seeker or do I please the avoider? It's interesting to how all of this works. And if you selected mostly D's, well, some of my jokes didn't work. We'll see. So movement is a key component, and it supports self-regulation in moving emotion and creates results that propel us to positive outcomes. And I will tell you that I uncovered movement as a tool during my early experience in high school when I needed to shift from discouraged and angry to empowered and confident. So even now, as I reflect, I can see that taking time to walk or exercise before coming up with a solution supported me emotionally in my decisions. So, based on your sensory preferences, and by the way, you can be a seeker in one and an avoider in another sensory preference. You can have multi preferences. It's kind of interesting, and there's no right or wrong in it. But you can use movement as a tool put it in your toolkit as a way to self-regulate. You can use it as a way to self-regulate. So, as I wind up here and wind down the sensory fingerprint presentation and how to look at your sensory preferences and your triggers, which are your threshold, I just want to leave you with this. Being present with all sensory preferences, you're able to see possibilities for how you can control emotions. And the benefits of self regulation, moving into this, is clarity, learning to trust ourselves through our body and how we interact with the world. So, becoming self aware of your own sensory thresholds and preferences will help you self regulate and thrive regardless of your surroundings, in your environment, and adjust at a moment's notice, pivot when necessary, and thrive with agility. And in the end, be a far better decision maker, be better productive, enjoy the flow, the calm of the day, and be able to respond and not react. Present moment to moment to moment. And isn't that what it's all about in our work, in our relationships, and in our family? So I'm going to share with you. I already posted this in I have a little code here that you can scan, and the way to get a hold of me if you so desire to scan it right now. And I also have some more information on how to get a hold of me as a coach, as a consultant, and as a workshop facilitator. I would love to support sensory somatic work and bring forth the sensory system as it relates to the environment, even in the executive coaching. Pretty amazing how all of this works. So, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of, as a keynote, to be a part of this beautiful convention. And I'm open to questions. I think we have about 5 minutes for questions. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take questions. And I will go to see if there's any questions. Or Melinda, if yes, you have a question, be happy to entertain that.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Liz Dobbins. Thank you so. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. You really gave a terrific presentation today. So, and here is a question from our audience.
Sure.
So the question is, funny, how can we unlock the 90% of our brain that we never use?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? How do I unlock what?
So, how can we unlock the 90% of our brain we can never use?
Oh, unlock part of the brain we can never use. You know what? That's a really good question. Uh, the interoceptive system has a lot to do with how we're feeling with our bodies and how we move into uh, and how we use our brain to go from that primitive brain, emotionally up to a logical brain. So the question of how to unlock all of that, I think, and this is just speculation, but the more we're aware and tune in, I think the more that will unlock. Now, that's just me saying that, but I'm sure neuroscience is moving into that research right now as we speak. So I know That's important to find, but I think the more we can tune in to all of that is part of this process.
Okay. Thank you so much for the informative speech. I think audience got the answer what they have asked for. So it's thank you so much for joining as a keynote for the WIN conferences event,
You're
and
welcome.
and thank you for your continuous support with WIN conferences. So we look forward to work with you for our future conferences as well. So as you know, this is a hybrid event. So if you want to join a physical event live, so to share your thoughts or comments, so you can even join the Zoom link which I have posted in the alerts. So you can even join, and you can yeah, you can post your comments or anything you want to give message. Okay,
Okay.
so thank you, Liz Dobbins. It's really nice talking to you, and have a great day. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So, thank you so much, everyone. So, this is Melinda Roy. I'm the host for the 2 days conference WYN Win Summit. So, let's join our next speaker. So, speaker is waiting. So, please join the next session. Thank you so much. Have